Hey y'all. I know I preach like positivity and light all the time, but I just want to keep it real with you guys. Like this last week, this is like the bad week of the year. Um so my late husband passed from bone cancer, and it was a 4-year battle, and it was ugly, and there were 12 surgeries in those 4 years and 2 experimental chemos, and it was a tearjerker. We had our 3 babies, and when he passed away, it was September 28th. So it's been 5 years. We just hit the anniversary on this Monday. And then you have the 29th, which is Clint's next brother up. So my late husband's brother, which has been like my kid's second dad, and he lives out of state, and he's amazing and awesome. And he's like, if you see Lord of the Rings, like, I'm a Lord of the Rings freak. You know that if you watch my stuff. But he's like Clint the Dark, and just very sweet and kind, and has so many of the mannerisms that Clint did. And so my kids are just drawn to him, and he's an incredible human. So his birthday is the day after Clint died. And then the very next day, which is today, is Clint's birthday. So we have like boom, boom, boom. And then tomorrow is my best friend in the entire world since junior high, is her birthday. So this week is, and then the beginning of September is my two of my kids' birthdays, the 7th and the 9th. So September is just a hard month for us all around. It's really difficult emotionally. And for grief, for me, and sometimes leading up to the date is more filled with grief. So I hate the death day. Some people, which I said on a little short video this week, some people celebrate that, and they're like, it's their graduation day, let's go do this and go to that. And it's like, like, that idea makes me want to like choke myself. I don't like the death day. I don't celebrate it. I don't want to think about it, and I do think about it. So I don't want to think about it all the rest of the year, because I want to try to honor Clint in his life and live my life. I believe he didn't lose his cancer battle. He won his cancer battle because he had hope and light and determination, and he never gave up. And we beat cancer for him by every day, by living our best life, by trying and keep moving forward and seeking happiness and joy just like he would want us to. So all the rest of the year, I try not to think about this hard day, which was Monday, the 28th of September, when Clint passed away. And on that day, for me personally, for grieving, I give myself permission to be sad. Like, I know I can't all the rest of the year, but I usually just try to be like, let's use my positive mental attitude and forge forward. But on that day, I give myself just that whole day to just sit in the mud and be a bump on a log. Like, I grew up, my mom put her makeup on Christmas morning, even before we could open presents. Like, you just get up and you get ready for the day. Like, I don't get ready that day. Like, I stay. This week I laid in my bed for hours, and then I did a workout, and then I went back to my bed for hours, and then my sweet best friend came and brought us dinner. But I don't like that day. I have a blanket that it has Clint's t-shirts that was made for me by my sweet friends, and I pull that out and I get in my bed and I just cry and give myself that day. I have a playlist that's mine and Clint's, and I'll play that sometimes. But that is that's my day. So then Tuesday, yesterday, my best friend, we went and visited her and her 3-year-old daughter, and my daughter Niska, who's 17. And my best friend, I'll have to do a video with her one day, and she's the best thing in the whole entire universe. Okay, so she's like, hey, let's go kayaking or canoeing in this little lake by our house. So me and Niska weren't super excited about it. And we hadn't planned on it. You know, it was just kind of this sporadic visit. So we're like, okay. And Niska's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, because we do whatever Jenny tells us to do. You know, so we load up in these life jackets. Like, I'm in my leopard Levi jeans, my denim jacket. Like, we have life jackets on, and they push us off, and we're in a 4-person canoe, and they're like, oh, be careful, these do tip over. And we're like, that'd have been nice to know before we got in the boat. And it was pretty like squirrely. So we get down, so we got the hang of it. We get down like 30 minutes down the lake, you know, of kind of getting in our groove, whatever. And when you like wobble, your instinct is to like move your front half, like when you drive a car, you know. That's bad. That's very bad to do in a canoe, because we all went like this, whoop, totally fell, completely submerged the whole boat, like dumped us in this freezing water, and we were just like, my phone fall, whoop, right down to the bottom. My best friend Jenny, her phone is gone. And her sweet little 3-year-old, you know, we're trying to console her and pretend like we're okay and to get her okay. And we had to move ourselves to a shore, dump the water out of the boat, and then talk the 3-year-old and the 17-year-old getting back in the boat, because we had to go 30 minutes back down to return the boat. And I was laughing so hard. And Niska's looking at me like, what the crap, you know? But I'm just like, this is life, you know? And she's like, that's an expensive canoe ride, you know? And I'm like, right? Because I had to buy a whole brand new cell phone. And Niska's like, would you do it again if you knew, you know, because I was complaining that I was, anyway, I'll get to that tomorrow, because this can be a long video. Sorry. You can take a break and come back, get some popcorn, some treats, whatever you need to do. So we get back in the boat, and we're sopping wet. We get all the way back. I probably peed in my pants. It's a good thing I was wet, because I was laughing so hard. We get back, walk our butts, crossing the street, looking like a bunch of hobos, okay? And get home, shower. I mean, you're not even allowed to swim in this lake. Like, there's so many ducks and just gross. And I'm like a germ freak, so I'm like, ew, like peeling off my infested clothes. So anyway, that was yesterday. So then I get home last night, and I get to spend how many hours calling Apple and finding out about getting a new phone, right? Well, guess what? My Apple Care expired like 3 days ago. 3 days. So guess what? Lucky me. I get to buy a brand new cell phone. And I have to have a cell phone. Like, it's our house phone. It's my work phone. Like, that's not optional, okay? So I fork over the hard cash, and I go today, you know, I spend my night getting the cell phone hooked up, and then Clint's birthday today. And I'm like, well, okay, I always check in. What do you do when you have kids and a spouse that's passed away? I don't have like a tradition every year. I just kind of fill out my kids and where they're at. And because Clint, you know, I tell him, like, Clint would want you to do whatever's best for you today. You know, we kind of, I'll get to that, what we do for dinner. But back to the day of. So I knew I had to go to City Creek, which is a mall, to pick up my Apple cell phone. And I checked in with my kids, and they had schoolwork they needed to do. Niska had a field trip that she was going on. And so I was like, hey, you do your thing. And that's totally fine. And Wyatt, I tried to talk him into going to school because the other two were going. And he's like, no, I want to go with you, Mom. What if I think about Dad and I cry? And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, but I can't do tons of fun stuff. I have to go to the Apple store and get a new phone. That might take like hours. So I'm prepping him for this boring day. And he's like, that's okay, Mom. I'll be there with you. I'll be there for you, you know? And I'm like, okay. So we get off to a late start. Because of COVID, you have to have a time that you set that you're going to get to the Apple store. So I get going down the road, and Wyatt is car sick. He gets car sick really easy. So if you have car sick remedies for me, please send them my way. So it's just, Gunner grew out of it and was the same, but Wyatt is 9, will be 10 in January, and he still gets car sick. And I kind of drive a little wild, a little bit, and I was in a hurry because we were late for the appointment. So it's partly my fault. So we're driving, and I have these, because this happens, I have these Amazon like puke bags back from our hospital days, the ones that I know were good when Clint got sick. And so I was like, okay, Wyatt, here you go, and I'm driving down the road, and he's like, I'm going to be sick, and I'm just like, Wyatt, and I'm rolling down the windows and giving him the air. Now, there's not a lot of things I hate. Anime cartoons and throw up, okay? I hate throw up. I hate the smell of throw up. I hate cleaning up throw up. Okay, chunks go all over, all right? He's like, I'm so sorry, Mom. And I'm like, why didn't you throw up in the bag? And like half went in the bag, and then half just went all over the seat, all over my carpet. And I am just like, what? Can this day get any worse? Okay, this week, could it get any worse? It could. It definitely could get worse, and I don't want to say that, knock on wood, because I believe in that. My bed is wood. Yes, there we go. I knocked. But so we're seriously driving down the road, smelling disgusting, and I had to stop, and my boyfriend's, his office is halfway between where I was going. So I detoured, went to my boyfriend's office, and cleaned the car, and he helped me, and poor little Wyatt's like laying on the floor. He has a t-shirt printing company, so we are changing, luckily he had like t-shirt and basketball shorts for Wyatt, so we throw those on and peel off his stinky clothes, get that all clean, and then my car smells like Lysol throw up, right? Like it's still there, just doesn't go away. So we get downtown. I finally make it an hour late. Apple is nice. I'm like, please, we have a car accident, a car sickness, throw up, just please. They saw me, great. Got my stuff. Well, guess what? I have to activate it at an AT&T store. From Apple, I couldn't activate it there, so I had to go to an AT&T store. And by then, Wyatt's like feeling better, so I'm like, okay, and he's running around. He's getting hungry, so I get to the AT&T store, and then my sweet brother, who I told you about in the beginning, Clint's brother, we have our cell phone plan through him, and so I couldn't activate it because I'm not the person on the account, which Apple told me, oh, no problem, we see you're not the person, you need to go to the AT&T store, and they will activate it for you, no problem, with the SIM card. No, that's not what happens. So my brother, who's in Chicago and works, so I'm like trying to get a hold of him at the same time as I'm trying to tell this AT&T lady, come on, help me out here. So finally my angel of a brother gets on hold, but he has to call AT&T, so I'm on the phone while he's on the phone with AT&T. Anyway, we get it worked out. Then Wyatt's feeling better, so I go feed him, okay? Then guess what? On the way home from feeding him, he's like, Mom, and I'm like, bleh, throw up all over. Luckily, he made it in the puke bag. And then I have to pick up the other kids, and this is like all circuitous, like around the valley, okay? Not all by each other. So I finally pick up the kids, and then it's time for dinner. We meet Clint's family. Clint had this Asian restaurant called the Asian Star here in our town that he loved to go eat at. So we just we go there every year on his birthday. So his parents were 10 minutes late, which isn't too bad because if anybody really knows me, knows I usually run 10 to 15 minutes late. So we make it to dinner, and then Wyatt tries to eat a little bit. Then Niska's like, hey, I want to drive. We were going to go visit Clint's grave after dinner. And so we go visit Clint's grave, and I'm like, Niska, you need to watch. You can't take fast turns. Wyatt gets car sick, you know? And so she, all the, and then all of a sudden Wyatt's like, again. And I'm just like, okay, what do you do, right? Okay, I'm like, dude, this is a record. High five. So we get to the grave. I always check in with him. Do you want to go to the grave? We've gone every year. Niska never wants to go to the grave. Gunnar and Wyatt usually do. This year, only Gunnar wanted to go. So because it's just, we were all over the place. I'm like, hey, we're all just going to go together. Sorry, those of you who don't want to go. It's his birthday, so you can stay in the car, but Gunnar wants to go. We'll go support him. So I walk over to the grave, support Gunnar. Rewind to being on the phone after the canoe accident and on the phone with Apple forever. The week gets to my kids too, right? So Gunnar yesterday, he's my 14-year-old. He just started crying, and I could see him trying to be the dad figure in the house for Wyatt and getting frustrated because he's mean and he doesn't want to be. And I just see the emotion of the whole week, and after I get off my phone with Apple forever, actually Gunnar's phone, because I didn't have a phone, I just sat there and climbed on his bed and held him, and he just cried, and he's like, this week's hard, Mom. And I'm just like, I know it is. These weeks suck. Go ahead and let yourself cry. You're not a freak. You're not a baby. Like, this is totally normal. And birthdays are hard, and death anniversaries are hard. So just let it all out. And he's getting huge. I'm like, dang, I can't even hold you. You're like a giant man boy. Your legs are getting hairy. Like, he's the cutest thing ever. But yeah, so after 3 throw-ups, and then I haven't taken anxiety meds for a while. So going through a divorce last year, so I'm a widow, and then I got remarried for 3 years and then got divorced. And it was ugly and very stressful and high anxiety. And I was on anxiety medication. And so I haven't been on anxiety medication since January maybe of this year. And today it was like, this evening, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need a lorazepam. Like, oh my, just like that jittery, like racing stress, of the whole week. So I have learned, for me, if I work out, then that just really helps me release the endorphins. So hence my workout top right here. I just got off I have a Peloton bike, which I love, and use my name, Kamille Bauer, and you can get $100 off your accessories. But I just went and worked it out on my bike, just because that really helps me mentally get in a good space, and it helps fill my cup. And I'm exhausted and emotionally exhausted. So it feels good to get physically exhausted and help my brain release the endorphins. So anyway, on a week, I know I always share positivity and light, and I really try to, but it's okay if you have a horrible week. It's all right. If it's crappy, if your heart's broken, if you're going through something hard, you don't have to be happy all the time. You don't have to smile all the time, and that's okay. To give yourself those days and those weeks to just get in the mud and feel it and be okay with it, and know that, next week will be better. And that's okay. Grieving is messy. Grieving is not standard. Grieving isn't predictable. And I'm here for you. And what works for you, leave in the comments. If you have, again, car sickness remedies, please leave those for me. And anyway, love you guys. And P.S. So the day before Clint's death anniversary, so 28th on a Monday, was Sunday. And I was even bawling on Sunday, knowing that it was coming, was Monday. And my boyfriend, was like, usually come over for Sunday night dinner, and he's like, hey, are you okay? Is everything okay? And I just want to like push through it and be like, yeah, I'm fine, And we were alone in my bedroom, and he like looked at me and he's like, no, really, are you okay? And how are you feeling? And I'm just like, like, check in. How's your week gonna go? What can I do to support you? And which is very new and very foreign for me. It's a good thing to be in a relationship where I'm allowed to feel and grieve without worrying about someone else's feelings at this time, because this is a tender time for me and my family. And so it was really a beautiful experience to feel that support and love. But it was also, I could just feel like that wall of me putting up, being like, yeah, I'm fine. It's good, yeah, this, and I try to divert with humor, but he knows me and could see through that, and was just like, what can I do to help? And I just bawled, so even leading up to it, don't feel like a freak. Are you grieving? Have you lost somebody? Are you starting your journey? Be tender with yourself, be gentle with yourself, and be easy with yourself. You never know what you're going to get. Grief is like a box of chocolates, like Forrest Gump would say. Seriously, it's a wild ride. So I'm thinking of you. And again, bad weeks. That's cool. I'm having a bad week. And if you've watched my videos for a while, this is my lovebird necklace that Clint gave me. Remember that from way back? And I lost it, and then he ended up finding it for me. And so I don't wear it too much, but only special occasions. So I wore it today on his birthday. So anyway, peace out from the grief train. Love ya.